Great music, as always, on XO Radio. Now then, world-leading hypnotist, behavioural scientist, broadcaster, and best-selling author, Mr. Paul Mckenna is back with a new coaching event for 2024. It's actually called Success for Life. Now, the 11-day tour across the UK and Ireland kicks off on the 2nd of March, with more dates to be announced. He's also got a book out at the moment. I managed to catch up with Mr. Mckenna. We talked about the tour, we talked about his book, and other little bits and bats as well, and this is what he had to say. Okay, so right now on the phone is none other than the man himself, Mr. Paul Mckenna. How the devil are you?
I'm very good, thank you, Matthew. And you?
Yeah, very well. As we just said, apart from the weather being very, very cold, you've not got any tips for that, have you?
Yeah, wrap up wool.
Great. So you're a very, very busy man. I know that. You're going to go out on tour. We'll talk about that in just a few moments. And you've got the book out, which we'll talk about again in a couple of moments. But just tell us, how did it all start for you?
Well, I used to, back in the 1980s, do what you do. I was a radio broadcaster. And I went to interview the local hypnotist one day, and I'd had a bad day. I'd broken up with my girlfriend and had a row with my boss, and the people in the apartment where I was living were keeping me up at night. And I showed up for this interview, and the chap went, "Rather than you interview me, I need to do it to you." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You need some hypnotherapy, mate." And so I said, "Go ahead." I was pretty skeptical, I got to be honest. And I sat back and I relaxed. And I felt so good, all my burdens lifted. I could think clearly, and I felt kind of joyous. And so when I opened my eyes, I felt it had been about 2 minutes. It had been half an hour.
Right.
I said, have you got any books on this? And he lent me a book, and I read it, and I thought, oh, I see how this works. And I would be at a party, and I'd say, I'm learning hypnosis. And, someone would say, oh, it won't work on me. And I'd say, well, shall we find out? And, amazingly, I'd have them up dancing like a ballerina and doing silly things. And so through the 90s, I became a comedy hypnotist doing shows. And at the same time, I was training to be a therapist. And so at the beginning of the noughties, I wrote a book called Change Your Life in 7 Days, which I thought, might sell a few copies. And it turned out became a multi-million selling international bestseller, actually. And so my life changed. And I basically, what I do now is I write books that are self-help type books, and I also I do these live coaching events where I get an audience of a few hundred people, and I show them ways, techniques, and things like that to feel more empowered, to have more confidence, more self-belief, more resilience, etc.
I mean, it's catapulted you right up there, hasn't it? Because not only are you doing all that, you're doing TV stuff, radio stuff, you're inviting people to these shows. Do you, when you do your tour, which we'll talk about after we've mentioned the book, do you get people actually up, and do you actually hypnotise them on the tour? Oh,
absolutely. So what I'll do is I'll say, who here, for example, is frightened of public speaking? And lots of hands go up. And so I'll grab somebody, they nervously come on the stage, and I say, do this. 2 minutes later, the fear's gone. And I hand them the microphone and I say, speak to the audience. And they can do it like they're talking to their friends, completely fearlessly. And so I turn to the audience and I say, now, you saw what I just did there, right? Why don't we all do that? Nobody has to do anything they don't want to, by the way. And so suddenly people go, wow, I feel really empowered. That situation that normally worries me, I feel really good about it. And so through the course of the evening, I do these thought experiments and I coach people. There's a few hundred other people present, that's all. And then at the very end, I hypnotize the entire audience to feel fantastic. Brilliant. So it's a real feel-good event. It has a kind of I suppose it's an education, but it's also entertainment. It's an edutainment event. There we go.
Yeah. Is it easy to learn hypnotism? The only reason I'm saying that is I've got a friend. I've got a couple of friends who go out on tour and stuff like that and do all that sort of stuff. And they tried teaching me once. I'll tell you the story in a minute. But is it difficult to learn, or is it not so difficult?
Well, it's very easy to learn, but like anything...
Yeah, I found that out.
It's difficult to get good at. Yeah. So right now I have the largest hypnotherapy training organisation in the world. I train thousands of people online every year to do the standard things that hypnotherapists do, like help people to quit smoking, lose weight, become confident, etc. And I do it with a company called Mind Valley, who are the largest online self-improvement company now in the world. And so it only takes about 4 months to learn to become a hypnotherapist. Obviously, you wouldn't be treating people with really serious disorders, like PTSD and depression and stuff like that. But most people go to see a hypnotist for simple things: losing weight, quitting smoking, overcoming phobias, etc. And learning to do that is very straightforward.
So the book, Success for Life, The Secret to Achieving Your True Potential. What's actually sort of like, without spoiling it, because we want people to go out and actually get the book, what sort of stuff is in it?
Well, I spent the last 30, 40 years meeting and studying high achievers, so from people from sports, the arts, business, and success and happiness are not accidents that sort of randomly happen to some people and not others. They are created by certain ways of thinking and acting, and I've studied and codified those ways. And in the 3 hours that it takes you to either read or listen to this book, I'll show you ways to increase your, say, self-belief, right, to stop self-sabotage, to get really clear about what it is that you want to achieve in life, to get determined to go achieve it, and creative in solving things that might stop you, and then just boost your general levels of happiness. So by the end of reading this book, you'll have a very clear idea about your future, you'll feel full of optimism about achieving it, and you'll be in pretty good shape for 2024.
Right, and that's out now, isn't it?
It's number 5 in the charts this week.
Brilliant. And the tour, you're back out on tour. You're going everywhere. London, Brighton, Frome, Exeter, Bristol, Birmingham, Dublin, Liverpool, Manchester, which is our neck of the woods, Edinburgh as well. So that tour is in March. It's just through the whole of March, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'll be at the RNCM in Manchester on the 23rd of March.
That's a beautiful place, a beautiful place.
It's such a great venue. It's one of my favourite places to play. It's a lovely auditorium and very comfortable. And so I do a 90-minute coaching session, and then at the end, I do selfies with the entire audience. That's the real work, about an hour of selfies at the end. I'm
going to have to come along and catch up with you.
Please do. No, if you want to come, please let us know. We'll sort it, and then let's say hello afterwards as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. It'd be great to do a bit of a quick catch up as well, because you're not there until, well, it's the last one before. Well, it's the second to last date on the tour anyway, so it'd be nice to catch up and find out how the tour's actually gone.
Yeah, I would love that, Matthew. That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Right, going back, a friend of mine taught me how to do some hypnotism, because I was going to work abroad in Spain, and I thought it'd be great to get some of the people up on the stage and do some hypnotism. So I was okay to get them in, but could I get them out? No. so I had this woman, because no, seriously, I got this guy, and I got him to do like walking around like a dog and barking, and his wife came up to me and said he's still doing it, and this was like a couple of hours later.
Did you know that the thing is, he will absolutely have stopped doing that eventually.
Yeah.
So the thing is, there are a lot of these stories. People go, I went to a show and the next week I was still Napoleon or whatever. The thing is, everyone always comes out of the trance in the end. It's not possible to stay in a trance.
Well, that's what I was told, so I thought I'll just leave it eventually. As long as he's not eating out of a dog bowl, we'll be all right.
Exactly.
Well, that's great, Paul, and thank you very much indeed for your time. I know you're very, very busy plugging the tour and books and everything else to go with it. Good luck with the tour. The book doesn't need much luck because it's at number 5 already. It's there, and it'd be nice if it makes it to number 1. And if people want tickets for the tour, how can they do that?
Well, it's really easy. You just put Paul Mckenna live events, or go to paulmckenna.com. I'm at the RNCM in Manchester on the 23rd of March.
Right, brilliant. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you on that day. Brilliant talking to you. Paul Mckenna, thank you very much indeed, and we'll catch up soon.
Matthew David.
XO Radio.